work out what. Johnson takes that little baseline fall away of his.
They go to Joe Johnson against Caron Butler, steps to the elbow and steps back and guns it down. He's been so efficient tonight. 10. Joe Johnson backs on Caron Butler, turns and fires and fills it up.
Yeah.
He squares up, man. When he turns, he's ready to let it. They spoiled the Pistons' home opener. He is so red hot and knows it. 2 more in the bank.
Spinarcolepty.
Johnson against Ibaka, mismatch, fade away, yes. Interesting to operate a bit more in the post. Gorky Jang is in. Joe Johnson, that's automatic if he gets that good a look.
Joe Johnson, as we said, on the money defensively there, a lot of traffic with the Nets.
Johnson against Ware.
Oh boy.
Over the rookie, taking him to school.
Shot facing up on a regular basis, so you keep your hands down, you don't get up into him. He just turns and shoots it on you.
Johnson, got it. Joe Johnson's first field goal.
And he was the head coach when Hollins was the assistant here in Phoenix, so they've switched. Oh, the runner at the buzzer by Joe Johnson. They're going to review it.
Strange game last night in Phoenix. Superb first half by the Nets. They shoot 70% from the field. Joe Johnson able to hit. Brutal second half.
Been in there with a little bit more scoring.
Lopez down low to Joe Johnson. He fades and hits over Matthews. As we mentioned, Portland had just 2. Johnson working down on Matthews. Wesley playing with 3 fouls. Johnson goes baseline and hits. So Joe Johnson going back to work.
Lopez sets the screen, there's a switch. That means Ranger has Lopez and Williams has Johnson. Off the dribble, the jump shot, it goes. Joe Johnson rattled.
His own, the 3, no! Rebound Ginobili after the miss by Bogdanovich.
Check the floor. Joe Johnson.
Such a good touch, man.
Hello, riding Johnson.
Johnson steps back.
Can't get it to go. And gets a nice bounce. I thought that. Williams kicks it down low. Johnson. And back-to-back jumpers for Brooklyn. Reminder the Foxwoods final.
Here for Brooklyn. Johnson couldn't get it going in the first half against the Knicks. Knocks down the jump shot. Physical defender. 6 to shoot.
And active too.
Cross, fade. Oh, Joe John dribbling, but he blows the layup. Teletovic the other way. Off the push. Finds Johnson. Drives in. Floater, yes.
You know what's interesting about that?
Extended run. Teletovic swings it. Johnson the pull-up jump. It goes.
4 Stanley Cup banners up in the rafters. I mean, and 2, I was so impressed. 2 consecutive Stanley Cup winning goals. The only NHL player to do that.
Plumlee at the top. Here's Joe Johnson. Henderson with him as he turns the corner. And Johnson just flicks it at the rim and hits.
Yeah, they are a wonderful.
Plumlee out front. Here's Johnson for 2.
Oh, goodness.
22 points, Joe Johnson.
About to play by.
Shot clock down to 5. Johnson gonna have to go with it, which he does with ease a lot of times.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they came in the second quarter with a much different defensive mindset.
Joe Johnson posting and scoring. He is so good with his back to the bucket. Joe Johnson came to the ball against Marion now. Johnson flicks it and scores it.
He's got that little hesitation right before he shoots the ball, and when he does that.
Side, Plumlee was covered up. Joe Johnson, familiar step back. Yep, Joe Johnson. He's got 23
offensive centers, but Plumlee's speed and the trouble we have with the pick and roll make me wish Brook was in instead of Plumlee starting as Johnson buries the jumper. Especially if you get Joe Johnson. Jerebko thought about it. Now, this lineup's kind of interesting here, Jim, because I'd say right now you'd name Mirza the center with this 5.
Paint or pretty close to the rim. It's a lot of points. 20 points with 3:25 to play in the first. Johnson put on another exhibition from the outside. Johnson trying to get the step using the Plumlee screen. The jump shot, it goes! Joe Johnson from the outside.
Boston next whistle. Lopez. Rebound to Bradley again. Houston Rockets signed free agent Josh Smith and extend coach Kevin McHale's contract for 3 years. He might need it to coach Josh Smith. Our next Celticast tomorrow. Celtics at the Wizards. Paul Pierce and company. Coverage begins at 6:30 with
on the back. The defensive rebounding just then. Here's Johnson, will pop and connect. Nets coming out sharp. You know, Cousins will stay back in the lane with Plumlee out there.
Johnson operating against Gay. 5 to shoot. Johnson off the window. What an angle.
Struggling. He still spaces the floor out because he's a threat to knock down threes.
You talked about it last night. Even though he wasn't scoring, how important he was. He had Nets' biggest lead 4. Wide open, Joe Johnson, and he made him pay.
I'll tell you what, he can.
Joe Johnson against Noah. Jab step and then the jumper in the air, and that's good.
I'll tell you what, again, he is a tough cover. For that fourth quarter against Indiana, where the Bulls were outscored 25-11. Indiana went on a 20-0 run.
There's Joe Johnson raising up over Nico.
And that might be his first touch so far tonight. Here he has it again. Steps inside the three-point line, and at least Tobias Harris chased him off the...
Jack, Anderson to Johnson. Parsons has got the assignment. Joe Johnson in his face from the outside.
Maybe just grazed alongside of them, too, because those are the ones that are very dangerous in terms of going over the top and coming back down.
Johnson on a crossover. And that soft touch.
Joe Johnson is something the Nets really need coming down the stretch again tonight.
Johnson, the jumper is good. It rims in for Joe Johnson. The Nets have cut it to single digits, but we're down to 3:40 remaining. Not thinking that way. 28 seconds left. Johnson against Thomas, strokes the jumper and hits.
Just let Joe Johnson.
Plumlee screens for Jarrett Jack. Johnson with a pump fake on Kyle. The step-up gun goes for Joe Johnson. He has 13. Inside to Joe Johnson against Karan. The turn and gun goes for Joe Johnson.
Wow. How do you stop that?
I don't think you do. 81.
That little short jumper from 8 feet and in. Doesn't take it very often at all, though.
Nets have limited the Rockets to 12 points.
Do any damage to him up here.
Joe Johnson just waiting to get that jumper to go, and that one does. Was an all-star for the 7th time last year in his 3rd season with the...
Lopez has an open Johnson. He got it.
Something you don't hear a lot. Lopez, the facilitator.
Yeah. Nets holding a 2-game lead over Charlotte and Detroit for the final playoff spot in the East. And Johnson's stroke looks smooth early. He's 3 of 5, 7 points for Joe. Just turnover of the second quarter for either team. Johnson, he has it going in the first half. Joe Johnson now. Johnson still trying to work on Butler. Johnson will take and hit. Feathery touch.
He's just one of those guys, and you know me, I'm outspoken.
Tonight already 4 here in the first half on 6 attempts. Johnson draws a double. He'll go baseline. Rudy put up a hand, and Johnson able to rainbow one up and over. Joe Johnson 0 for 2 in the first quarter. Ron his first.
Well, Kenny Garnett sets a pretty good screen out there.
Always has.
Yeah.
Johnson a jumper. Got it. Joe Johnson just 2 of 6 in the first.
Off to a good start here offensively.
Yeah, they're having a tough time scoring. Cross-court Plumlee. Not sure the pass was intended for him, but he'll take the bucket anyway.
I think Atlanta wanted the foul. Number 1 in the NBA.
There's Joe Johnson, 19 tonight. Off the screen. Make it 21 for ISO Joe.
Well, it is ISO Joe tonight.
Of action. I mean, that is impressive.
Johnson one-on-one over Ross. Count it. Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were going to go somewhere with that for a second.
Jump shot goes for Joe Johnson inside the three-point line. Monday night they'll host the Clippers and then head to Toronto for a matchup with the Raptors on Wednesday. Back home for the back-to-back. Knicks at home, and then the Wizards on the road before it's down to 5. Joe Johnson with 3, with 2, shakes him off and hits. Joe Johnson, clutch. He would be in the position that he's in, an NBA champion as a head coach.
I thought he would go into coaching because he did his homework. We see Joe Johnson knock down a jump shot.
Medalist 2008, 2012. And 1 out of 2 for
Joe Johnson. Clock down to 6. Jump shot. And it rattles around and through. 40 cut off by Patterson. Johnson over Patterson. Bucket. And he's got 9.
And the net defense has been great here in the third. They are
by Jack. Waited out. Regroup. Here's Johnson using the Garnett screen to free himself for 2. Forget about that one if you think Joe Johnson's going to miss that with a dribble off the screen. Hangs up his guy, but Joe Johnson gets...
All about me.
Well, at least you don't have to pass to Elton. Joe Johnson gets 2.
Joe Johnson 5 on the timer.
Double team, it's going up.
He creates some space and hits a deuce.
Well, Jimmy gets a push off. He gets a
Predicated on the sleeve, fellas.
Or his sense of humor.
It works. If it works. It's interesting.
Joe Johnson again.
You can get him to talk about it for himself.
Yeah, but he's kind of stealth when it comes to humor sometimes.
Yes, he is.
Bucks want offensive basket interference. Don't get the call.
I'm just glad I don't have to interview him during a game.
Duke speaks the truth.
The FedEx Forum Monday, July 13th. Tickets go on sale to the general public on Tuesday, February 28th. Multiple steal game for Tony Allen this season. That was his second. Joe Johnson flashing his all-star form.
Yeah, they had to do a better job. The bigs. That is
calls me. I come here. It's like a fun thing for me. I work with the kids with Bill, and it's important.
Williams going the other way with the floor spaced on a 4-on-2 and made a good decision, although Allen Anderson passed it up. Joe Johnson will capitalize. So both team points off turnovers, 10-3 Brooklyn. They're taking advantage. Step back for Joe Johnson, and it's all even at 46. Here's a guy that
transition. The Nets are 13 and 17 on the road. Actually, that's not bad. Just 4 under 500 is Joe Johnson. They have the shooters when they're a little off.
Smith, Beverly.
And that's 9 points in a row by Brooklyn. 4 points per game since the All-Star break. So scoring is up for Brooklyn in a small sample. Johnson, high arcing delivery over Green. Draymond Green to really himself for the jumper.
Well, Bogut actually got away with one because when Plumlee went for that initial rebound, you could see Bogut pulling on the jersey.
That span was 91-76 at one point. Brooklyn, and there, Joe Johnson ends the drought.
By 3, 8 to shoot. A lot of movement there. Lopez is standing. Johnson squares and hits.
There it is. Got to be the shoot.
We play with the Milwaukee Bucks. Joe Johnson, a guy who can get buckets even at guppy hook. It's not like one of those shark hooks, but you know. Talking a lot about fishing tonight. You notice that? Oh yeah, with the hook.
It's the only one out there that has any experience.
Kmart had it, then turned it back over. Joe Johnson. And it's up to a 9-point.
Just immediately throw it to the rolling big that time because they're going to be open. That's exactly what Kmart did.
Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson is...
Johnson, step back over Wiggins. The Brooklyn Nets still shooting lights out.
Where overall teams at home, 59%. So a bit of a drop off. Joe Johnson, first 4 points to the visitors. Lopez, nice steal by Brown. Markel Brown out of Oklahoma State. Joe Johnson mid-ranging and hitting like a layup for Joe Johnson. Oh, it's 23. They'll find themselves with a near 60-point half. Johnson over the big fella, and he hit it. So Joe Johnson, third highest paid.
Good friend Pat Riley, president of the Miami Heat. 70 years old today.
Is he really? As Johnson buries the jumper's first field goal of the night.
Quick attack from Milwaukee. They felt they had numbers, so they never slowed it up. They just went right at the transition defense of Brooklyn.
Bucks back up
to get a possession, so Brooklyn should get it back.
Johnson's jumper is good. Joe Johnson.
Oh boy, I tell you what, this is terrific for Mahimi to go out here and guard Joe. Oh, he just made a heck of a shot, but he was defended well, both by.
Pacers have never been able to solve them tonight.
That's what he does.
The touches looks like we've spoken about on the open tonight.
Johnson against Turner, ball fake, and the turnaround goes for Joe Johnson.
Big screen by Lopez. Wow. He goes via the sunset.
Yeah, he's a wide body, and when he's able to draw a bead on a defender.
He used muscle on Shumpert in the post all night. Johnson. He got it.
Beautiful step back move. That separation he gets strong enough.
Outside for Johnson, 7 to shoot. Johnson trying to work his way towards the rim, a fade. He's got it. Joe Johnson buries it. % as a team. Johnson using the Lopez screen. DeRozan works over it. Johnson a fade. He's got it. McCollum.
Size advantage.
Back in. Johnson fend off. It rims in. And the streak continues. Johnson circles. Shot clock is down to 10. Johnson searching for his offense. There it is.
I got to give credit to Markel Brown.
Matchup here, should be able to get a shot off.
4 to shoot. Johnson squares. Got it! Bang! Joe Johnson!
Take a couple shots that other players can't. You want to see him try to get going.
Johnson, yes. Just to beat the shot clock. 6 points on the 1.
10-3 rebound advantage for Brooklyn in the second quarter.
Johnson overplayed high side by Carroll, makes him pay for it. 27 franchise renaissance for this team. You see some of their handiwork, not only the 19 straight wins, they won 12 straight road games at one point as Joe Johnson continues.
Back comes Williams. Johnson with the shot, yes.
5-point swing in the game. The 2 that Brooklyn should have gotten on that 2-on-1 fast break, and it winds up being a 3 at the other end. 5-point swing in the game. Atlanta up 46-43.
Has made a career of those plays around the rim. At tip-ins, he's got 7 points, 9 boards. Johnson, the quick answer. And suddenly the pace starts to shoot. Johnson just 4 of 15 on the night. Around a second defender, running floater. Got it!
He worked hard to get that shot.
Not led tonight if you've just joined us, down by as many as 17 points. Johnson, that's good. 8 for the former Hawk.
And going over here to give his team a chance.
Shot clock already down to 6. Johnson against Horford. Fires and puts it down. Long 2 from Johnson.
For Michael Carter-Williams to be able to Carroll misses. Advance, or not advance, but push Chicago.